Welcome to The Explainer, everyone. Today, we're doing something a bit different. We are stepping right into the mindset of a Cambridge examiner. Think of this as a deeply analytical, highly strategic masterclass on conquering Cambridge AS and A-level accounting 9706. You know, if you've ever walked out of an exam feeling like you completely understood the material, but then you get your paper back and you've somehow dropped marks, yeah, you are in exactly the right place. We are going to decode the specific theoretical architecture of accounting concepts, and honestly, more importantly, we're going to figure out how to communicate that knowledge exactly the way the marking scheme actually demands.
Okay, let's dive into this. Did you know that just 4 foundational accounting concepts, we're talking business entity, historic cost, money measurement, and going concern, account for roughly 15% of the total marks in Paper 2? 15%. That is a massive chunk of your final grade sitting right there in the fundamental principles. But, and this is a really big but, here's the catch. Examiners aren't just looking for you to parrot back a memorized textbook definition. Not at this level.
Listen to this. This is an exact quote pulled straight from the syllabus framework. Top-performing students exhibit connected, conceptual understanding transferable to unfamiliar contexts. So what does that actually mean for you? It means rote memorization simply won't cut it anymore. The examiners are actively hunting for a logical, structured reasoning process. They want to see that you have this theoretical architecture in your mind that seamlessly integrates with entirely different areas of the syllabus. If you can make those cross-topic connections, well, the principal examiner reports explicitly state you are going to achieve significantly higher marks.
So here's our methodical roadmap for today's explainer. Number 1, core principles. Number 2, the method mark strategy. Number 3, examiner warnings. And finally, number 4, critical evaluation tactics. Let's get right to work.
Section 1. Core Principles. Decoding the Foundations.
All right, precise definitions and causal relationships are your absolute best friends here. They are literally the keys to unlocking those highly sought-after cross-topic marks. If your foundation is weak, your complex calculations later on in the paper, they're just going to crumble. So let's quickly but precisely lock down the big 4. First up, the business entity concept. I like to call this the absolute firewall of accounting. It dictates that a business is entirely separate and distinct from its owners in the accounting records. Having a highly logical, structured understanding of this specific boundary prevents critical, fundamental errors when you're deciding what transactions to actually put on a ledger. Think about it. If the owner buys a personal sports car with their own personal money, it stays completely off the business books. Period.
Next is historic cost. This rule states that transactions are recorded at their original cost. Now, why do we do this? Because it serves as a systematic, evidence-based anchor for our financial statements. It completely removes bias, it removes wishful thinking from the equation. If you bought a building for $100,000 10 years ago, that is exactly what sits on the books, regardless of what its current market value might be today. It's all about maintaining total objective reasoning.
Then, we have money measurement. This one states that only transactions that can be expressed in monetary terms are actually recorded. You should really think of this as your primary filter. When you're sitting in the exam hall, staring at a massive, complicated paragraph of stimulus material, this concept is your precise guide for determining exactly what data gets extracted and what gets ignored. Employee morale, a CEO's incredibly great sense of humor, those are fantastic for the workplace, but they are absolutely terrible for accounting records because you simply cannot put a reliable, objective dollar value on them.
Now let's move along and see how this all builds with our final core principle, going concern. This is the assumption that a business will continue to operate indefinitely into the foreseeable future. This fundamental principle directly influences your long-term analytical depth. Honestly, it's the entire reason we can mathematically justify depreciating an asset over 20 years. We are assuming the business will actually be around that long to use it.
Section 2. The method mark strategy, a procedural framework.
Okay, now that we have the theoretical architecture firmly in place, we need to shift our narrative a bit. Theory is fantastic, but to actually extract points from the Cambridge Assessment Framework, we need strict procedural conventions. We need to secure method marks. If you don't know, method marks are the points awarded for having the correct process, even if your final number is slightly off because of a silly calculator slip. So the absolute crucial point here is following this rigorous 6-step strategy. Step 1. Deconstruct the question. Ask yourself, what command words are they actually using? Step 2. Extract the relevant data from the stimulus. Remember our money measurement filter? Step 3. Select your analytical framework. Step 4. Execute with perfectly clear notation. Step 5. Verify your results. And Step 6. Present correctly. Listen, the principal examiner reports consistently highlight that presentation follows strict conventions. You absolutely must use proper headings, correct terminology, appropriate formats, and clear annotation. You are developing professional skills here, folks, not just scribbling numbers on scrap paper.
So I have a question for you. Ask yourself, where do you think students hemorrhage the most marks during this exact procedural framework? Is it the math? Is it the complex formulas? Think about it for a second. And hey, before we reveal the harsh realities straight from the exam room, if you are finding these high-level strategies helpful, pause right now and hit that subscribe button for Ace the Exam's IGCSE O and A levels at actheexam_IGCSE. Make sure you enable all notifications so you never miss a weekly Cambridge Breakthrough strategy. All right, let's look at where things go wrong.
Section 3, Examiner Warnings, the top 3 pitfalls.
Spoiler alert, it's actually not the math. We've dug deep into the principal examiner reports, and they're practically begging candidates to stop making these specific, high-stakes errors. This brilliantly illustrates exactly what goes wrong when you're under pressure. Trap number 1, using the wrong approach for the wrong context. Students so often try to jam a memorized formula into a totally unique scenario where it just doesn't belong. Trap number 2, forgetting to check format and presentation. Leaving off headings or using sloppy, disorganized layouts literally costs you easy marks. And trap number 3, providing generic answers. This is a big one. Your answers must be incredibly specific to the business context provided in the question. Please don't give a generic textbook definition of going concern when the question specifically asks how it applies to Company X's recent factory closure. You have to bridge that gap.
Okay, here is a vital examiner alert you need to write down right now. Because candidates consistently confuse key terminology under the intense stress of the exam room, you absolutely must lock it in beforehand. Create a memory hack, something like an acronym, for the core concepts so you can recall them instantly. And here is the absolute golden rule. Always explicitly define your key terms right at the very start of your extended responses. By planting that crisp definition clearly on the page, you anchor your logic and you show the examiner immediately that you know your stuff. It sets the tone for a high-scoring answer.
Section 4, Critical Evaluation Tactics, Reaching the Top Tier. All right, we are entering the final phase of our masterclass now. Let's talk about the assessment objectives, specifically AO3, which is entirely about evaluation. This right here is exactly how you push a decent answer into the very highest marking bands. It is literally the difference between an average candidate and a top-tier scholar. Look, an average candidate gives superficial breadth. They just list a whole bunch of facts without ever really connecting them. But Cambridge demands evaluative depth. Top-scoring candidates demonstrate true evaluative thinking by questioning the assumptions made in the source text. They proactively identify the limitations of the data they've been given, they consider different perspectives, they evaluate alternative interpretations, and most importantly, they justify their decisions with hard analytical evidence, clearly stating the effect on the final conclusion. They don't just write, "The business is profitable." No, they say, while the business shows a profit based on historic cost, questioning the assumption of going concern reveals underlying liquidity issues that severely threaten long-term viability. Do you see the difference there? That is top-tier examiner-pleasing analysis. So, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this final critical challenge. How are you going to deploy these exact evaluation tactics in this precise procedural framework to completely transform your next past paper response? Don't just sit there and absorb this information passively. You have to apply it. The very next time you sit down with a complex 9706 question, I want you to remember the examiner's playbook. Define your terms immediately, stick relentlessly to the specific context, and always evaluate for depth over breadth. You've got the theoretical architecture now. The only question is, are you ready to build the perfect answer? Remember, crushing Cambridge exams requires a consistent, elite strategy. So hit that subscribe button for Ace the Exam's IGCSE O and A-Levels at acetheexam_IGCSE, turn on that notification bell for more high-level exam hacks, and drop a comment below right now with your exact target grade. Put it out there, good luck with your studies, and I'll see you in the next explainer.